there was something going on the inside of me I didn't recognize, and that didn't line up with any of my traditional spiritual instruction. Thus began my search for the clues that would unlock the mystery. The spiritual me is impacted by a constant bombardment of influences expressing one of two powers: love or fear.
Spirituality helps you to become a new person, the best person that you could be.
Hello, everybody. We're live. It's Girl Talk, Real Talk. So a big round of applause for everybody that showed up tonight. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. My name is Gillian Murray. I'm in Canada at the moment, and it's cold outside, but I'm extremely excited. My furnace is now working. So there you go. Just in time for the snow to show up tomorrow. Perfect. Okay. So also, I just want to say thank you to our guest speaker tonight. There's Ellen Boyers in the house, so she's our guest speaker. We also have Dr. Roni in the house, so she's always here every Monday night when we do our Girl Talk, Real Talk. And we have the fabulous Gabriela Daughtrey. She's back in town, so thank you for coming on tonight. I know you've been traveling a lot, so we've been missing you. And I also want to say thank you to Claudia for helping us, keeping us in line. So appreciate it. So tonight is going to be a wonderful presentation because it's all about spirituality. For those that haven't been following us, every Monday night, pending a holiday Monday, we've been having these Girl Talk, Real Talks, and they've been progressively getting better and better and better. But typically the talks are around a specific topic, and they're lining up to be something similar to the 7 dimensions of wellness, or those buckets that fall into the 7 dimensions of wellness. And Ellen's going to touch base on that because that was something that we talked about a year or so ago, and it totally resonated to her. And so she actually started writing a book about the 7 dimensions of wellness and some elements of that when it comes to spirituality. So tonight's topic is about spirituality. And before I get into handing over the forum to Ellen, I want to just remind everybody what spirituality is according to the Oxford Dictionary. Okay. All right. This is the Oxford Dictionary. So the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. Spirituality is the shift in priorities and allows us to embrace our spirituality in a more profound way. So I like the fact that, the Oxford Dictionary talks about the priority of the human spirit and soul opposed to the material or physical things. And that is, as we get older, I don't know what it is about getting older or getting wiser. That seems to be more relevant to me. Although if you talked to me 10 years ago and you looked to my shoe closet, you'd think differently of my viewpoint. So spirituality is very important to myself. And I'm really excited actually to be able to not only offer over the forum to Ellen Boyer, but the fact that I love Ellen Boyer. I've always found her extremely intelligent, extremely wise, and I'm glad to be able to give you a forum tonight and a platform to share with us what you've been doing over the last little while. Lovely Ellen Boyer. She's in Georgia, but whereabouts are you from, Georgia? Where?
I'm in Johns Creek, which is actually a suburb of Atlanta. I'm in metropolitan Atlanta in Georgia.
Georgia. Okay.
This happened to be on the north end of the sprawling, spreading Atlanta.
I just remember going through Georgia on my way to Disney World when the kids were little. Okay.
Georgia. It's probably double the size now as it was when you passed through, not the city itself, although it's really built up, but
Okay.
my parents were born and reared in Atlanta. And although they moved to the Midwest or Kansas, that part of the country, and that's where I was born in Oklahoma and grew up in Kansas. But Atlanta's always been my home. It was in my blood, I suppose. So although I have lived in many, many, many different places, including 7 years in Germany, Atlanta's home. So I'm glad to be here. I feel quite comfortable where I am.
Okay.
So,
Ellen,
yes,
tonight I hear you wrote a book, or you're part of your co-authored a book. What's the name of the book?
the name of the book is Cultivating Confidence from the Lord in Life Through Trials and as Entrepreneurs. And it's, I think you can see it here. This is the book. And it actually is a collaboration of several different authors. And we actually have another contributor to this book in the audience tonight, Lana Scroggins, who you met when she came in, has also contributed to this book. The book was sponsored by the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs, and it was published by Rama Publishing Company. It's a collection of thoughts on having confidence in the Lord to direct you, to strengthen you, to care for you, to provide for you, and to put you over. And it's from many, many different viewpoints. I happen to be a researcher. I tend to overthink, over-dig, overindulge in research and thought. So whereas everybody else contributed 1 chapter, mine turned out to be 2. And my process is and was, when I began this, to write on all 7 dimensions of health. But these 2 chapters are the introducing the concept of the 7 dimensions of health, and introducing the importance of spiritual health as the foundation for all other areas of health in our life. We tend to put it last and try to solve most problems from a physical standpoint, but it's my belief that spiritual health is the foundation for all other areas of health. I am actually working on the rest of the book, of my own book, that will be published separately and not in a collaboration. And that will cover all 7 dimensions of health, but that's quite a little project, as you can think, if it took me 2 chapters just to introduce spirituality. So I have to learn to pare things down a bit. As far as about me is concerned, I'm probably my favorite. I write for myself, although I do write for others, but I would just be happy writing for myself. I have found that delving into all of these areas of health opens a wide, wide, wide world of inquiry. And especially because I am so committed to my own spiritual health, my viewpoint is that I really can't understand all of the rest of the areas of health if I don't understand that. I have been teaching a study on the 7 dimensions of health on Thursday nights now. It started out to be a 6-week study, and we are now coming into our 4th month, because the group has found it's such fun to discover what we can discover about ourselves, beginning with that foundation of spiritual health. I've sort of reinvented myself every time life has presented an opportunity. I was reared in a conservative Christian family in Kansas. I was one of 5 children born to a preacher and his devoted wife. Grew up in the church in a, as I said, conservative church, and married at a young age, had my own children, worked various jobs, thought I was going to medical school, prepared to enter medical school, and ran into 2 obstacles. One, at that time, medical schools didn't admit very many women students, much less many women students who were married with family. So when I applied to medical school, I was told, not very gently, that I did not qualify as a full-time student because I was encumbered with a family. Things are different now. If I applied now, I'd be rejected straight out because I'm quite a bit over the age limit. But at that time, I had to make a decision. Was I going to be a mother and wife, or was I going to be a full-time student? And because of my commitment to my family, chose to remain a mother and wife rather than study medicine. To be honest, I was a bit relieved. So many times we make decisions, we come upon troubles in fulfilling our goals and find out later that that probably was the best thing that could have happened to me, that I did not go down that path for many, many reasons. But instead, I ended up in IT, working for lawyers, attorneys, hospitals. The 7 years I spent in Germany was in the U.S. hospital there, the largest U.S. hospital overseas, and I supported the IT systems there, and then returned back to this Atlanta area and continued working with law firms, primarily helping them be up and running, teaching their support staff and the attorneys how to use personal PCs when they came out. So, as I said, I've reinvented myself several times, and my exploration for God's plan for true prosperity, as seen in the 7 dimensions of health, demonstrates my latest version of myself, a healthier, goal-driven, 82-year-old writer. And I am enjoying the process. As I said, I grew up in a conservative Christian household in Kansas, and I was instructed in the religion of my parents and was well trained in the behavior they believed best reflected God's requirements for acceptance into his kingdom. I appreciate that training. As a result, I learned to sit down and listen, be respectful to my elders and those in authority, obey rules, care about others, work hard, be dependable, and avoid sex outside of marriage, alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs. Those things alone kept me relatively healthy. However, as a side effect of that training, I became an expert in the art of hard work, deception, living with guilt, and fearing eternal punishment if I failed to keep every law found in my life playbook, the Bible. I did my best to be a good Christian for the first 30 years of my life. I accepted that a spiritual being we call God had created mankind and given us a list of rules to live by. If we followed those rules, he would reward us with a prosperous life here on this earth. And because of his great love, he provided a way for us to live eternally with him when we died. I never questioned what I'd been taught at home, in church, or in school, for that matter. That's where we still prayed after saluting the flag. I was content to continue my involvement in church after I married and gave birth to 2 sons, and much later, a daughter. My husband and I involved ourselves in the local church and were committed to influencing others to embrace our beliefs. We trained our children and those we impacted to sit down and listen, be respectful to their elders and those in charge, obey rules, care about others, work hard, be dependable, and avoid sex outside of marriage, and alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs. So you see, the process of recycling my religious instruction continued. I really don't recall ever doubting the validity of my traditional spiritual experience until I found myself wandering aimlessly around the house one day, thinking thoughts I'd never entertained before. I was searching for answers, but I needed help just understanding the question. There was something going on the inside of me I didn't recognize, and that didn't line up with any of my traditional spiritual instruction. As I wandered around, I found myself hesitating at my bookcase, looking at my Bible as if it were written in a foreign language. It should have seemed familiar to me, but it did not. The pages I'd filled with notes, highlights, and references challenged me instead of comforting me. Somewhere within me, I knew it was not just a rule book. I was not created to obey a list of thou shalt nots blindly. And my attempt to do all the right things was exhausting and never enough. I realized the Bible is not a rule book, but a fascinating mystery. I knew I would find both the question and the answers in that book. But I had never been encouraged to do such a thing. Thus began my search for the clues that would unlock the mystery. That pursuit has produced freedom from rule-oriented religion in my life as I discovered God's plan, free of the myriad stressors of fear of failure and rejection. I've only recently been able to verbalize what I discovered, and that is thanks to Gillian. who introduced me originally to our modern day concept of the 7 dimensions of health. My discovery that the Bible is not a rule book to be followed without question propelled me toward the truth of God's love and his provision. I suddenly realized that instead of me getting all of my directions from the words on the page, there was a greater form of communication with God. He is a spirit. I am a spiritual being. He communicates with me spirit to spirit. His provision for me can only be fully understood outside of my law-abiding logical expectations. Spirituality cannot be explained the way a math problem can be explained. It can't be explained in logic. It can't be explained by science. It can only be understood by experience. Science is amazing. It's a gift from God. We might all be dead sooner than later, except for science. But my intellectual, psychological, physical, social, occupational, environmental health ultimately depends on my spiritual well-being, not science. The spiritual me is impacted by a constant bombardment of influences, expressing one of 2 powers, love or fear. God is love. He is not a being who loves. He is love. The love he is can't be expressed in our puny English language, or any other language for that matter, with the possible exception of ancient Hebrew. That love is powerful beyond our comprehensions. It conquers all. His love, communicated to the spiritual beings we are, defeats all that is less than life. It closes every gap. It fills every void. It soothes every discomfort. It satisfies every desire. It wards off every attack on our health and empowers us to live free of fear. Fear is the negative of love. It's the other side of the coin. We've been taught that fear serves us by igniting reflex actions of escape, counterattack, or immobility. The old flee, freeze, or fight responses to fear. However, the constant stress produced by fear-driven lifestyles does not protect us. It debilitates and propels us towards an early death. Spiritual health eliminates the stress of a fear-driven lifestyle. Love and fear can't cohabitate. The force of one drives out the other. Fear defeats. It opens every gap. It drives out all that might fill the void. It causes discomfort. It stimulates desire that cannot be satisfied. It torments the soul. On the other hand, the ultimate goal of fear is death, but love restores our soul. Our soul is that mysterious union of spirit, intellect, and psychic, and it produces life. Spiritual health can be defined as being free of fear. It's simple. And the freedom is not only the fear of failure, but the fear of fear itself. That freedom is generated as we experience communication with God by his spirit and are satiated with his love. We're set free when we unravel the mystery of his plan to give us life. We no longer depend on cheap substitutes promising relief from all that distracts us. We're empowered by his wisdom in our daily pursuit of success in all 7 dimensions of health. In my writing and directed studies of God's plan for true prosperity, my goal is to awaken today's truth seekers, folks like you, people who have not stuck their head in the ground, but are full of wonder at what's going on in the world and in search of that power that is going to put us at rest at last. Not that we will cease our endeavors, but that will empower us to complete our endeavors and still be alive on the other side after we've struggled to reach our goals, used every imaginable program offered out there to cause us to be successful. There has to eventually come a respite from that struggle, from us trying to be the best we can be, from us trying to please, from us trying to attract others by our authenticity, from us having to work and work and work, driven to prove that we are worth it. Spiritual health is a place of rest from all of that. It's a place of healing. It's a place of wholeness. It's a place of acceptance. It's a place of God embracing us by his love. Perhaps you've had no religious experience or have rejected opportunities to benefit from learning more about an all-powerful, creative God. In that case, it's my intention to invite you to indulge yourself by exploring the mysterious power of God's love. He himself will enlighten you. I hope you love a good mystery as much as I do, and that I can motivate you to focus on life-giving spiritual options, inspired and conceived by the love of God and designed to protect you from the byproducts of fear. I find my greatest fulfillment in teaching and encouraging others, folks like you, to experience all God has provided for us here and now on earth as it is in heaven. I would love to have the opportunity to hear your experience with this mystery called God's love, and to be able to exchange with you and learn and grow by your experience, and to share my experience with you. I have a Facebook group. It's called Ellen Boyer Author is the name of it, and I will put the information in the chat. But I would invite you, if you would be so inclined, to join me in that group And I'll soon be announcing another opportunity for study where we dig a little deeper into all this, and where I hope I can influence others just like you to experience God's love in a way that will not only bring healing to you, but to those you encounter, those you influence, those you meet, to your family, to your friends, to those God mysteriously brings into your path.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, so we're going to make sure we share the Facebook group in the chat, but we'll also make sure we post it on inside the Feel Good community so everybody knows where to go. I'd like to invite Dr. Roni at this point. So your thoughts.
Oh, wow, that was so beautiful, Ellen. God, I was getting so emotional. It was just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to join your group.
Good.
I mean,
I'd love
really,
to have you.
it was just so, it takes you so out of yourself, you know, because, you know, spirituality is a purpose and a connection with something greater than yourself.
Right.
It affects our health, it affects our brain, it affects our emotion, because we're connected as a physical being. Like our brain and our nervous system and our immune system and our endocrine system all affects us in a way that it determines our attitudes, our moods, our imagination, our emotions, and that's what brings us close to God.
Yes.
And it was just so beautiful the way you put it. I really don't have much to add to it, except spirituality helps you to become a new person, the best person that you could be. If you ever had a near-life experience, I had a near-death experience. And so I so feel everything that you said. I know what you said is so profound and true, because I've been there. I've been there on the other side, and there's a mission. We all have a mission. It's just that some of us don't know we have a mission. They don't know what their mission is. But because I've been there, I know what my mission is. And I serve that mission to the best that I can every single day, because when I got my life back, I'm going to give everything that I got inside me to give people the opportunity to keep their life and to grow and to be as powerful and happy as they can be while they're determining what their mission is, right?
Right.
We don't get the opportunity as allopathic doctors. I'm a naturopath, I'm a holistic doctor. I come from a whole different era of healing, right? I come from that healing that's so natural, and it's I look at things differently than an allopathic doctor. When you go into their office, they don't look at your eyes, they don't feel you, or sometimes they don't see you or hear you, right?
Right.
I've been visiting with many people that have gone on the other side. I was a hospice nurse, and I would be with them when they took their last breath. I'll never forget the story when I'm sitting with this lady, and she was going over to the other side, and I looked at her, and she couldn't focus on me, but she says, "I'm at the party. I'm at the party. I'm so happy. I see my family members." And her last breath left me with such profoundness, a story that I'll never ever stop telling. And it was so beautiful. So I know what it's like over there. And I also know that we have a mission here. And I just want everybody to know that you do the best that you could do with your mission here on this earth. There is a better place, but you have to do your best here first.
Yes. Yes, but he provides, God provides for us the energy and the ability to do our very best here on this earth, so that we're not tormented by fear of failure and not measuring up.
Yes.
He loves us as we are and empowers us by his spirit to be more on this earth. And That's the thing that set me free, was the realization that I do not have to lockstep by in a rule book fashion to be what he wants me to be.
And if we can leave this very one thing with everyone, is that we are a spiritual body, not just a physical body.
Right.
And the more that we exercise that spirituality, it makes us whole and happy.
Yes.
And I think that's so missing, especially in the world today. You know, I talked about it with one of my patients today, how it's so sad to see that people would just get up and what's on their brain and on their mind is the gun and shooting at people and killing people. But they've missed something so powerful. They've missing the spiritual body, the spirituality, and they're not whole. It's body, mind, and spirit.
That's right. And when we are not whole, we've tried to fill up that missing space in the things we get ourselves involved in.
Yes.
We're just trying to fill up the hole. That's all we're trying to do, because we're afraid we're going to miss.
Right.
So I'm going to now introduce Gabriela. Gabriela, I know you travel the world, and I know you're a very spiritual mother, and very caring, and you very giving to your cause. So I'd love to hear your feedback from the conversation this evening.
Well, Ellen, you know, it's great. You know, I think we should all buy the book, read it. But, you know, Ellen makes a lot of great points. You know, being that I do go to church, and I learn from, you know, the talks. Actually, as members of the church, we are all given that task to do a talk. But we're all born with the light of Christ. We're all born to have natural love, especially starting with our parents, with our siblings. And I believe that if more parents were more in tune with the gospel, this world would be different. Whether you believe in Jesus Christ or Heavenly Father, I know worldwide they believe in other spiritual beings, and I respect that. And I did look up spiritual health, and there are 7. It's physical wellness, emotional wellness. I said physical wellness, spiritual wellness, emotional wellness, intellectual wellness, environmental wellness, occupational wellness, and social wellness. And we obviously need all of them to, you know, whether it's nurturing our children, counseling our husbands on a big decision, our business, you know, we need to have morals too. Not my kind of business. There's a lot of things that happen in the back, you know, and like, I mean, some women don't respect marriage boundaries, you know, and obviously, you know, you need to have one of those wellnesses to have a strong marriage, have a strong friendship, have a strong business ethic, have whatever it is. We all need spiritual wellness in our lives. Whether you're atheist or not, we still need to believe in something greater than ourselves. And we need to teach that to our children as they start learning and start understanding things as well. And I know that my children were raised a certain way, and they know right from wrong. And I think, what is it? The age of accountability is now 8 years old in our church. But at the same time, you know, we teach right from wrong, and that is the basic way of raising our children. But anyhow, this is important in believing in something greater than ourselves, and through that we can also heal. Most people, when they become sick, they become more spiritual, and that's what is important. We become closer to God. We become closer to whatever we believe is what we believe in, which is in most cases here in the States is God and Jesus. But it's important to have a relationship with God and pray. These last, 6 years, I have had so many great answers to my prayers. And I know he exists, because if he didn't, those prayers wouldn't be answered. You know how many times I've prayed to have people removed from my life? People that are toxic people, and bring me people that are good. And here we are in this meeting. God does answer prayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. So you know what, tonight has been extremely pleasing for me. I've been waiting for this talk, and I as I mentioned, the topic of the 7 dimensions was something that resonated to me when I discovered it a few years ago. And I'm on a mission with the Feel Good, Share Good. It's about alerting people or inviting everybody to learn all aspects of that wheel. And thank you, Ellen, for embracing it, and to the point where you actually are living it. And I appreciate that. And that means that, we need to sort of, everybody has a specific skill set or a specific focus in each time of their lives. But so it's not until we have every single wheel in that dimension solid that we feel that we are complete. So we're always going to be needing that little counsel and support to get through these buckets to ensure that we're whole. That's the whole complete cycle, the complete journey. And I appreciate Ellen talking about spirituality, because it starts with that, and then it goes on to physical and the emotional, the intellectual, the environmental, the occupational, which could be financial, and then that it's social. So the Feel Good, Share Good started off with the concept of the 7 dimensions of wellness, and that if you feel good in all aspects of the 7 dimensions, you're going to share good. And then ultimately you'll do good. So every week we're going to try to have something that aligns with one of those dimensions. And that's what it kind of started off like that. And it's just slowly progressed. So I want to thank everybody tonight for showing up. I'd like to close it out with a mention for next week's host. So next week we're going to be introducing Sherry, and Sherry is going to be talking about the occupational or financial segments of the 7 dimensions of wellness. And so Sherry, I want to say thank you. And the topic of discussion is called Wealth Health.
Well, first off, Ellen, thank you so much for this evening. It just really touched my soul and strengthens the things that I believe. And it's really nice to be around other people who believe the same thing and seek to strengthen that and share that with others. Thank you so much. It's very profound.
Thank you.
And very uplifting. I'll just leave it at that, So for me, with women, wealth health is just the basis for so much. What's the biggest stressor, whether you're single or married, and that's financial, right? If that's not straight, right? And I don't know about y'all, but I wasn't taught it growing up, not in high school, not in college, not in nursing, not in the military, none of that, and so having to understand that is really important, and it really impacts people's lives. And when I can see the stress relieved, it gives me great joy. And so I spend a lot of time talking about that and doing what I can. I'm obsessed with getting rid of financial oppression on people. It's just really sad. So there's so many aspects of it, but I look forward to it, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate this group.
Thank you. Right. So thank you. Thank you for everybody tonight. I want to give a big round of applause to Ellen. She's been amazing this evening, and I can't wait to, for this group, like I said, keep evolving. Thank you to everybody showing up this evening. We're all over the world, and it's so nice to bring us also together, because if you feel good, you share good. Please also go to the Feel Good, Share Good community and start posting in there, start sharing good things. It's about sharing good things and keeping us all on track of being positive. Vibe attracts vibe, and I'm all about that today, because we need to make sure that our spirit is solid. And thanks again, Ellen, for your wisdom, and a big round of applause to her, and then we'll close off the evening. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.